We are not done.
The Big Seven are the 7 most profitable companies in the consortium. That's what defines the members.
So what?
Have you seen Gaia Adaptation and Adjustment's latest numbers?
I have.
We've got 1 more quarter before they nuke us out forever. This is one of the oldest, most respected companies in the consortium, and the history books are going to say that Elliot Dragon is the man who presided over its fall.
Or they will say the opposite.
What are you talking about?
If there's one thing we've learned together over the years, Elliot, it's that there's always something you can do.
What can you do when you can't make more profit than someone else?
Think. You know the answer.
Lower costs. I could fire 40% of the workforce, but that's not a long-term solution. This enviromorphic fungus has them knocking on Moritascus's door. That won't save us for long.
Not that then. We need to make the problem smaller, not us.
Okay, so to do that, killing Guaya won't do anything, fun as it would be. We need to destroy his foothold on that backwater squid paradise. Perhaps as a distraction for a larger plan, it might be worth it, but...
Perhaps we need to destroy the people who provide him with the power.
Wait, do you mean Khaladbolg? You want to use Khaladbolg on the people of the consortium?
Could it work?
Seriously? I mean, yes, it could. We could blanket a planet or even a system in Khaladbolg radiation, killing everything.
If it was a natural disaster, it wouldn't be anyone's fault either. And when open technology comes in and picks up the pieces, you'll be a hero all over again. No one will even consider what happened to the enviromorphic fungus until after it's in our hands.
I suppose. And the majority of the population in Ikaunus is Zimians, Eulutians, and Vilithi. There aren't more than 1 billion humans out there. I'd be doing the consortium a favor. Sir Ridwin Station could report some instability, ask for the Orion to investigate it. A few months with the Orion, we could outfit it. We'd need help from Smirtios. Agnesson's just crazy enough to...
He'll meet you at 1400.
It's the way out, isn't it? The only one which makes any sense.
That's correct.
We'd better get started then. We have a lot to do.
Well, it's always good to see you, Elliot. And be the recipient of your lavish entertainment. But I suppose we should probably get around to the point.
Yes. I need a favor.
Oh?
I would like to use the Orion.
Oh, that's tricky. Very tricky. The Senate needs to get involved a lot of the time when you're doing anything with the Orion. What do you want to do with it?
Well, Open Technology would like to install an experimental weapon which will only fit on a ship that size.
Big weapon. Should I be interested?
I'm not going to beat about the bush, Oscar. I'm talking about something similar to what was installed on the Samhain.
The Samhain? You're talking about Khaladbolg. What on earth could you want to use a weapon which destroys organisms on that kind of scale for?
Actually, I intend to use it on the Resistance. With the voice of the Resistance and various other animals, that rabble is becoming troublesome. I think it's time we took some major steps.
Khaladbolg is pretty major. Then again, Smirtius security is being embarrassed every day. I won't deny, I'm fairly desperate at this point.
That was my feeling also. I think the Ikaunus system, as where they're primarily based, is a good target. In fact, my latest intel, not sure about yours, suggests that 71% of the population of Ikaunus are either Resistance members or sympathizers. I think it's time for a clean sweep.
Well, I can't say I haven't considered something along these lines, but how can we possibly get away with it? I believe you are capable of making a weapon that could destroy the system. But won't the public fallout be extreme? We don't want a civil war on our hands.
Smirtios security offices on Abnoab were bombed yesterday morning. We already have a civil war on our hands, Oscar.
Okay. So how are we going to sell it?
A natural disaster. No one's fault.
What kind?
If a massive solar flare interacts with a wormhole, what would happen?
I don't know. We have always kept the wormhole sealed off during solar flare activity. And I'm not a scientist.
The most likely outcome is that it would release the dangerous radiation which is inside. Radiation which would kill every living thing in the system while leaving the infrastructure intact.
Really? That's a coincidence.
Not really. With my access to OpenTech files, I've been able to discover that Kaladbolg was actually designed using that same radiation.
You would then have an excuse to shut down all wormhole travel, except whatever you sanction, as it would appear that excessive wormhole use is what caused the problem.
And if the star Ecaunus was about to go through a period of heavy sunspot activity, then we couldn't take the risk, could we? It might just not affect Ecaunus, it might affect Damara. Who knows what havoc might be wrought if it passes through the wormhole?
Everyone else in the consortium would feel like they got lucky.
Obviously, we accept that wormhole travel is vital to the continued welfare of the consortium. But such an awful disaster would mean that Smirtios security needs a much tighter level of control. The resistance would be trapped within single systems with nowhere left to run.
Well, what's left of them by then anyway? Which would not be many.
With no Zimian backup from that desolate rock, they would stand no chance against Smirtios' troops. I won't say this isn't an extreme plan, but it is an extreme situation. And of course, this benefits you significantly, right, Dragon? Eliminating a particular political threat.
I won't deny that the elimination of Gaia adaptation and adjustment would be a fortunate side effect. Honestly, the system is full of undesirables for the consortium. Essus is impossible for you to police, the Velithi population of Aron refuse to allow consortium law, and the Eulutians have totally taken over Belisama, making it the last bastion of their people. We've lost political battle after battle over the Ecaunus system, and it's only getting worse. Someone needs to take action.
Yes, I can see you're right. I'd like to cut this off before it gets worse as well. I'll get the Orion assigned to Aaron for a month or two, for refits. How big is your team?
143.
Right. I'll arrange everything they need.
Of course, top of that list is privacy while they work. In that case, Oscar, I think we both have work to do.
Indeed. The first steps to changing the consortium.
And so it begins.
And as the voice of the Resistance, I feel it is my duty to inform you that the Big Seven have attempted to wipe out the entirety of the population of Ecaunus. It's only through the sacrifice of the rest of my unit, and, in a moment, myself, that this heinous plot has been prevented, saving 14 billion lives. Now, I know that Smirtios Security and Open Technology will hide this recording. They will try to make sure no one ever sees it, maybe for hundreds of years. But I trust that in the future, people will watch this and they will know the sacrifice that Stiletto Unit has made here today. And there's one more thing I want to say. Elliot Dragon, I don't think anyone else has the guts to tell you, but you're missing an arm.
This is your fault.
Excuse me?
You made a weapon that would self-destruct if people made themselves martyrs by stepping into it!
Do you have any idea what it took to make a weapon that worked with the Orion, a 200-year-old hull, in the time that I had?
It hardly matters! You failed!
I failed? Exactly how many jobs did you have?
Excuse me?
You had one job, Oscar. One job. Stop the resistance getting to the reactor for another 1 minute and 30 seconds. Your crack troops failed to hold them off for that extra time, otherwise everything would have worked.
I can't believe
One more troop transport. One more enemy ship destroyed. Or maybe, just maybe, your troops could have opened fire on the enemies that ran into the engine room they were supposed to be guarding like they were ordered.
Arden, how?
No, instead, they accepted that idiot story that he was their backup, and the reason they weren't wearing regulation armor is because they were special ops. How useless do you have to be to fail to follow orders to that degree?
You are the one who said the weapon was dangerous. I wasn't going to put anyone in there who might be missed. You don't put your best in the most dangerous location. You put cannon fodder.
Yes, and that's exactly what they were. I cannot believe you were so stupid.
I do not have to take this from you, Draken. Your plan failed.
Says the great military strategist who apparently didn't think of putting 10 men instead of 5 in the engine room.
Do we need to worry about that?
No, he doesn't dare say anything about this to anyone. I have plenty of leverage on him now.
What do we do now?
Well, I think the Orion plan is not something we can repeat. Fortunately, either that fool was too caught up in himself to record images for Resistance Command, or this fool was smart enough to jam communications. Either way, this recording will stay with us. I have one more idea, but it's less a plan than a craven admission of defeat. It's all we have left, though. And I think I have enough leverage on Smirtios to get it through. The mining conglomerate and Hardcastle will vote for it, and Smirtios' support will probably make it unanimous overall.
A political compromise, then.
I'm going to suggest that instead of removing open technology, which has served faithfully on the Big Seven for hundreds of years, we instead extend the size of the group to 8 members.
Are you sure?
I will continue to fight Gwea and everything that he represents with every fibre of my being, but short of giving up the power to do so, I can see no alternative.
All right.
We'll make the best of it, Catalina, as we always do. This fight is not over yet.